Hey guys, welcome. Grand Training Systems. Today we're going to talk a bit about orthopedics, orthotics for your shoe. Ones that you can get at your local store or getting a specialized one from a physician specifically made for you, and the difference of the two. I personally right now have one just from the sports store because I had not had time to go get a specialty one, which I think is better. The difference between the two I think is important to understand. When you're going to a sports store and you're buying, for example, a simple orthotic like I have in my shoe, it's good, but it's going to really focus on one motion of the foot. When you buy a basic orthotic like this, I'm going to go ahead and use my hand right now instead of my foot. It really focuses on either the pronation of your foot, meaning the foot falling in, or the supination of your foot, which in my case was okay because I also have a shoe that has the same type of insert or support in it. So I have basically a double support, which is good enough for now, but in the long run I'm going to want to go to that specialty store. Because the mechanics of the ankle are not as simple as just pronation and supination. Actually, what we have is we don't have the one foot as an entire segment. We have it broken up into 3 different segments. So I don't want to confuse anybody, but I think it's important to discuss it so you know the difference between the 2 orthotics. So, Diana, if you want to kind of focus here now on my foot, let's put my shoe back on. And basically what we have in our foot is it's not so complicated. We have 3 different segments that we like to break it up in. We have the rear foot, which is in the back. We have the midfoot, and then we have the forefoot, which is in the front. And when it comes to the orthotics that you're going to get from an orthopedic, it's really focusing on both the rear foot and the forefoot. So actually for this example, you can kind of just forget about the midfoot, and let's really focus on the back and the front, if you will. So basically what we first like to look at is the rear foot. And in a perfect world, your tibia, which is this leg bone right here, and your ankle bone, your talus, would be in a neutral position, meaning a normal position, not tilted either way, and your leg bone would come straight up. Unfortunately, some studies have suggested that 98% of the people don't have this, and they actually have the most common one, which is called rear foot, again this area, varus, meaning it's coming in a lateral angle, if you will. This is what you see people that are bow-legged. Varus means my tibia, this bone is coming out. So what that means is my ankle is more, my rear foot is more on a plane like this versus like this. Now the problem with my rear foot being turned in this varus position is we now must look at the forefoot, where I spoke earlier about my insert focusing on my foot supinating or pronating. It's not that simple, because as my rear foot may supinate, if you will, this rear foot varus, that doesn't necessarily mean the front of my foot, the forefoot's going to do the same thing. So maybe if my rear foot is supinated, maybe my forefoot will also be supinated like this, but maybe my body is going to want to compensate for that, and it's going to try to push the forefoot down. So where I have a supination in my rear foot, if you will, I have a pronation in the forefoot. And this is what the orthotic from your general sports store is not really going to focus on. It's going to be focusing more on this simple supination or pronation. However, one of the problems with this may be is athletes we see with this rear foot varus, meaning the foot is coming in a supinated position, we try to keep them away from a shoe that is going to have an air pocket in it, for example. Because what happens in this rear foot position is when your foot strikes, it's got to come back down. So where a normal foot is going to come in a very even plane, and the whole foot's going to contact the ground, this one is not. So this part of your foot, as you step forward, is going to just dump down really quick, which is completely disastrous for the bottom of your foot. So if your forefoot here is just completely collapsing down as you're taking a step or running, the last thing we would want is an air pocket in that shoe to allow it to crash down even more. And again, this is the technical aspect that orthotic from a local sports store is not going to address. So this is why I think it's good to get the orthotic from there, but then in the future you need to get more of a specialized assessment. So again, going back to the forefoot, varus, valgus, and all these confusing terms, basically what we're looking at is as an athlete, most likely it comes down in either a rear foot varus, which is up like this, or valgus, which means it strikes down. That does not mean the front of the foot is doing the same thing. And depending on what the front of the foot is doing is going to be completely, how do you say, pissing off, if you will, these tissues in the lower foot. So if you're looking at an issue where you're having shin splints here, and you're knowing that your arch is either completely flat or it's completely high, and you have no orthotic at all, or maybe you have a general orthotic from just a local sports store, and you don't really feel like it's doing the job, well, it might be because it's not. Because again, that general orthotic is not going to be taking into association the back part of your foot and the front part of your foot. And the front part and the back foot can be doing many different things. They can both be in the supinated position and the pronated position. One can be supinated, the other one can be pronated. It's all very individual, and this is what a more technical examination is going to show. So for you people out there that are having some pretty bad shin splints or pain in the lower leg, or even knee and hip actually, I would highly suggest that you can go ahead and start with the basic orthotic, but you need to get yourself to a more specialized examination and professional and see what's really going on. Because if you just address the overall arch, that is important, but like I said, maybe you've got the shoe with the air pocket, maybe you've got the wrong type of support really going on that's not giving you 100% of the support that you need. So, yeah, so basically, see your doctor, see what's going on, get the basic arch support for now, but try to get more of a more thorough examination to really see what's going on in that foot. So I hope that made sense. It's a bit of a confusing topic to just speak about on YouTube, but I think it's important to at least have an idea of it. So set up the doctor's appointment, get a better examination, and find out what's going on with your arch.